What's up, everybody? Steven here for Off the Shelf Movie Night to talk to you about physical media, about Blu-rays and 4Ks, and the way we like to own our movies and TV shows and documentaries and that kind of thing. Yeah, DVDs too. I didn't forget DVDs. I do still buy DVDs on occasion. If you like this kind of stuff, please hit that subscribe button, hit the notification bell, and stay up to date on what I'm doing. As you may... I can't talk today. As you may be able to tell, my upload schedule is a little wonky and a little weird. I don't upload on the same day every week like, they say you should. Because my own production schedule is a little wild. It's been a little longer between videos than I normally would like, but I've been in Austin, Texas for a production project for a video shoot for an upcoming documentary that I believe I'm going to be working on. It's still in the test phase. But while I was in Austin, I did get a chance to hit some local hotspots for movie collectors. I was really excited about that. I wanted to shoot video for you guys. I was going to, but my schedule was so wild, I kind of just had to dip into these places when I could between shoots. So I just picked up some stuff. I'm going to share that stuff with you right now. Talk about my experiences in these places and, hopefully get some conversation going about physical media. I also have not forgot that 31 Days of Halloween is going on. I've seen some of you guys are already posting about it, and that's awesome. I'm seeing what you guys are watching, and it's really inspirational to me. I am going to talk about that also, give you an update on where we are 31 Days of Halloween-wise for me. At the end of this video, so stick with me. So let's get into this. I went to two places. I went to Waterloo Records for to start, and Waterloo Records is apparently a mainstay of Austin. It's a place that has been there for a very long time. It's near a college, has a lot of vinyl and CDs, and yes, of course, movies. And then I also got to go to Half Price Books. Half Price Books may not seem like a big deal to some of you guys because you have them, but we don't have them in Nashville, in Tennessee. So I was excited to check it out. I watch you guys, all you other guys out there that do pickup videos, going to Half Price Books, so I was excited to check it out. So let's get into it. It's not a big pile, and it's unfortunate that it's not a big pile. I wanted it to be. I was there to shop. But I'll be honest with you, initially my first place, which was Half Price Books, actually, I went to, I wasn't that impressed. I went in, and there was a section of movies that I feel was not very well organized. It was, all there was featured movies, which was most of it, and then an A to B section, or A to Z section, which was another segment of it, and there was a tiny spot of documentaries separated, which I'm happy always to see documentaries separated out so that I can dig through them. But yeah, there just wasn't much. Now, that said, I really can't talk today. I'm out of practice on this, you guys. That said, surprisingly, it was kind of an art house find for me. I found a lot of art house films, which I'm great. Well, not a lot, a few art house films. That's just what I came home with, which I'm great with. It's just funny that, it was the pickings were slim, but what I did buy was art house films. Other than this one. I'll start with this one because it's not an art house film. I was happy to add this to my collection. I've been looking at it for a while, and I'm probably going to watch it as part of my 31 Days of Halloween, and that is Gretel and Hansel. Got it there with the slipcover. Sorry about the degraded quality on my video. Also, by the way, you guys, my iPad is dead, so I'm recording on my iMac. I'm using an iMac M1, so you would think the video would be better, but they just have shit for cameras. Apple's terrible that way. Anyway, this is a creepy retelling of the Hansel and Gretel story. I love this movie a lot. When I saw it in the theater, I haven't seen it since it was in the theater. So I'm excited to give it another watch. Cool that it had the slipcover. I've gotten almost all the tag off. I've got just, if I can show it to you, a little space right there. There's a little spot right there I got to get off, and then I need to get this tag off too. You guys have given me some suggestions before in previous videos on how to do that, and I'm thankful for that. So that's slipcover, and then the inside is the same. This is a standard studio release, so there's nothing special. No reversible artwork, nothing like that. They, standard studio release, so they don't do anything like that. Is anybody else watching this for your 31 Days of Halloween? I wasn't intending to, but now that I have it, I'm definitely gonna add that to my 31 days list. All right, so let's get into the art house releases. The first one is Steven Soderbergh's Bubble. Has anyone else seen this movie? I saw this movie in the theater when it came out. This is an era when Steven Soderbergh was doing a lot more experimenting cinematically, and I kind of feel like he's gotten away from that just a little bit. Look at this image there. That is so creepy, and it's indicative of what to expect in the movie. This was a film that he shot in a doll manufacturing plant, like a factory. And it's set in this factory and is casted by the workers, the actual people that work in that factory are the cast. They're casted here. And it is sort of I'll try to give you, I hate this camera. I'll come back here a little bit. Maybe you can zoom it in. Basically, it's this sort of a love triangle. It's two people that work in the factory that become friends, and I think one of them wants a little more than just friendship, and then all of that goes awry when a new, very attractive younger woman. The two friends are quite different age-wise, and then this younger, attractive lady comes into the plant and causes this love triangle to happen, and then someone gets killed, and an investigation begins, and that's when the mystery starts. Excuse me. So this is a really cool little experiment. It's a fun story, good story. Acting is way better than you anticipate it being. It's not, this is not Oscar caliber acting, but it's so much better than you think it's going to be. And somehow shooting in this plant with the people that actually work in it gives a legitimacy to the story and an earthy, groundedness. And add to that a bunch of creepy shots of doll heads and baby heads. It's really cool. If you haven't seen this movie, I highly recommend it. I was very happy to get to add this to my collection. It's not really a 31 Days of Horror contender, so I probably won't, normally I like to do my 2 weeks rule where I watch it to make sure it stays in my collection, but I don't have to with this one. I already know it's staying in my collection. I just would like to get to it, but I'm not going to until after Halloween, because I have way too many things to watch. All right, so the last thing that I picked up in there was Stoker. So you can see it has Nicole Kidman in it. I'll show you the back of it, and there's a couple of notable things about Stoker. So there's a death in the family, and this family, which includes Nicole Kidman, has an uncle come to the funeral, and he moves into the house to sort of help with the transition after the death, and there's something much more creepy and questionable about him than anyone could have expected. I don't want to get in too much into it, but so if you like Oldboy, this is directed by that director, Park Chan-wook. He of course, he did the entire Vengeance trilogy. He's an amazing director, and this is an American film here. And what's interesting is it's low budget. It does have Nicole Kidman, but generally it's fairly low budget. And for me, what's also fascinating is this was shot in several spots in Nashville. Now, not in the city. There's an area called Cheekwood that's sort of, very, very, very old style architecture with massive flower gardens and things, and a lot of that imagery was used in this film, so it was shot here. Now, the downside to this movie, if you have not seen it, is I think there was a language barrier. Obviously, there was a language barrier here, and so the directing, as far as how the actors act, and maybe there was a cultural thing too, I'm not sure, but the actors are a little bit stiff in this movie. Other than Nicole Kidman, she kind of just does her thing, and she's great. But yeah, they come off a little stiff. But the story is great. It's beautifully shot. Park Chan-wook brought his own, preferred cinematographer to Tennessee to shoot these sequences, and it looks great. It's a good movie. It's a cool movie. It's not perfect, as I said. The acting could be better, but highly recommended. Highly recommended. And this one I did not have in my collection at all. I do replace some things in my collection that have been previously there but have been stolen. We've talked about this when my house was broken into during construction. And I have one other movie here. I didn't put it in the stack. Let me reach back here and get it. This is the last movie that I picked up there, and it's a little more mainstream, but it is still an art house movie, and that is Memento. Memento. This was, and it comes up because this one was in my collection, and it was stolen, and I'm happy to put it back. This is the movie that this is the movie that put Christopher Nolan on the map. It's a very cool movie. Basically, it's the story of this guy right here. He wakes up with no memory, but he has tattoos all over his body to give him hints at what has previously happened to him, and it's his sort of investigation. I haven't seen this in many years. Very excited to have it back in my collection so that I can revisit it, and this will be a November viewing also. Not a horror movie, so unfortunately don't have time for it right now, but I will be returning to this movie as soon as Halloween has passed. There's really nothing here. It's just a flyer. Again, a standard studio release, so nothing cool here. And that's really all I bought, you guys, from Half Price Books. I was ready to go in and spend some dollars, but they just didn't have much. Had a lot of common titles, and even some of those were a little overpriced for me. These ones I bought were good. They were between $4 and $7 each, so that's fine for used stuff. Now, I did what they probably hate, but I did check prices on Amazon to make sure, because in used places, you've got to do that, guys. You've got to check prices, because if it's a place that has a large selection in particular, they don't always do a good job about making price adjustments based off what's happening in the market. So sometimes, they're overcharging for used stuff, and you got to make sure. And that gets to where we are next, which I went to Waterloo Records. I loved Waterloo Records in principle, right? I go in, and the entire back wall is covered in movies, in movie shelves that come out from the wall and that kind of thing. I wish I had at least taken pictures, but I didn't. It was so cool to go in there because it was much more curated. They had all the Blue Underground 4Ks in there. They had an entire cult section full of Arrow Video. And Arrow Video, of course, you can get those at Barnes & Noble also. So that's cool, but it's not... They take it a step further because they had a ton of Severin titles in there. There was a copy of I think it's Unearthed Films, that has a Cannibal Holocaust. There was a copy of the Cannibal Holocaust set in there. They really had a cool selection of stuff. Now we get to the problem. So, example, they had Ichi the Killer in there, the bloody cut, the uncut version, and I need to re-add that to my collection because it was stolen, so I need to re-add it to my collection. They had it for $25. So it goes for brand new. And of course, these are new titles. They had this stuff new. This isn't used stuff. They were actually stocking shelves with this stuff. They had it for $25. It goes for $15 pretty much everywhere else. And I was, I am willing in an indie record shop situation, willing to pay a few more dollars to show some support, because obviously they can't buy in bulk the way Amazon can. But, $10 is a little too much. That's almost another movie, And they had, most everything was between double what you would expect to $10 to $15 higher. They had the Arrow Video Dario Argento releases. They had those at $50 a piece. Now those go around $37 to $42, so $10 to $13 over what you would pay anywhere else. It was a real problem. I just couldn't find things. There was a lot I would have bought, but not at that much of a price hike. I just couldn't do it, and I'm really sad about it. If you're from the Austin area, tell me what your experience is, and do you shop in there? And what's the trick? I surfed that place. I looked at every section they had. I was in there for 2 hours. They had a great Criterion selection. Criterion prices were not that bad. They were not that bad. They were $29 for most things, which is about what you expect when it's not a sale. You expect it, the MSRP is $39, so you expect $27 to $30 each, and that's pretty much where they were. I didn't see anything at $27. It was $29 and up. $29 to $35 is what I saw. So not too bad. A few dollars higher than probably what I could get it at Barnes & Noble, and that's fine. I would pay that. They just didn't have anything I particularly needed to add to my collection. And also, well, that's not true. They had some things, but I'm a little cagey about buying Criterion right now, especially if it's something that they have a 4K scan of, because I don't know if they're going to be coming with 4Ks of these things. So I don't want to be buying something and then have 3 to 6 months after I buy it, have a 4K come out that I could get, that I would prefer to have. So I didn't end up buying any Criterions. Their cult stuff was all way overpriced. Happily, I did find one thing. I bought one thing, and I'm excited to add this to my collection, and that is The House on Sorority Row from MVD. Now, this one goes for $12 to $15 online. I gave $17.99 for it, which I was not unhappy about, because what I do know is this slipcover is out of print. If you buy it from Amazon, I don't even know if you can buy this still from MVD directly, but if you buy this from Amazon, you won't get this slipcover. So I feel like, okay, I paid an extra few dollars to have the slip. That's not something I would normally do, but I needed to justify my purchase somehow, right? So here's the back. This is a classic movie. So basically what you have here is there's a sorority house get-together. These guys are celebrating their graduation from college, and they've spent their entire time in college being tormented by the house mom, which I don't even know if that's a real thing in sororities anymore. So they decide, oddly, I mean, this is the 80s for you, they decide to do her in, and then have a good time, celebrate their graduation. But something happens. Someone either witnesses them murdering her, or they didn't do a good job of murdering her. It's a mystery. Whatever the case may be, revenge killings begin, and the slasher movie tropes begin. So that's the slip. I love these slips. They've got the the rewind stickers on them and the melt warnings and all that stuff. So sadly, this has a broken spindle, so it doesn't sit in there very well. Oh, there went the piece of the spindle that's broken. I was a little concerned because they only had one copy, but I took a chance and bought it anyway. I bought it and immediately went to a coffee shop and opened it up to make sure the disc wasn't just destroyed. So then I drop it. So it does have the typical MVD mini poster in it, which is very cool. Probably won't hang that, honestly. Had to reach and grab it there. And then there is reversible art, I believe, which I will reverse because I have the slip. Yeah. There's the original artwork. All right. So it's a small shopping trip, much smaller than I anticipated it being. I wanted to spend money, but I just, the two places I got to go, I was unsuccessful at finding anything. So it turns out I'm going back to Texas at the end of the month. We'll be in Houston, Texas for a very quick shoot. So if you're from Houston, please let me know in the comments. Where should I shop? Where should I hit up for some good physical media deals in that area? If you happen to know, let me know. Let's talk about physical media. Tell me what you think of my purchases. And have you had better experiences at Half Price Books? Let me know. So I almost forgot to talk to you about my 31 days of Halloween. So I haven't started yet, and I know we're almost into the 8th or 9th of the month, probably by the time you see this. It's okay. It's okay. It is Thursday, the 7th. Saturday, we will be doing a 12 Hours of Terror in this space and watching 7 back-to-back movies. That will almost catch me up. And then it turns out my local art house theater in the middle of this month is doing their 12 Hours of Terror. That's another 7 movies I'm going to watch in 12 straight hours. So I'm going to be way ahead. I've got plenty of time to get caught up. So hang with me. I'll share those 7 movies I watched this weekend after, because it's supposed to be a surprise for our group, and I don't want anybody in the group our viewing group to see this video and get it spoiled. So stick around. I'll start revealing my 12 Hours of Terror films after the Saturday viewing. Until next we meet, pull something cool off the shelf, share it with your friends and family, and remind them why physical media is the best way to watch films and TV. I'll see you guys on the next one.